Cereal is dumb. Whoa, 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 whoa. Before you go blasting me with comments, before you start clicking away, I've got 3 main reasons why I think cereal is dumb from a culinary perspective, and also why it's sort of a weird food that we eat. But stick around if you want to find out why. Heyo, Chef Corso, Outdoor Eats. I'm here to put you on the path to amazing meals on your outdoor treks. And we are not cooking a recipe today, but we are still talking about food. I am just next to Black Lake, just outside of Colville, Washington. Man, where is Corso again these days? But I have 3 main points that I'm going to dig into as we go through this video. But number 1 is that it's one of the trendy foods in all of history. 2, it has a pretty bad texture and a pretty bad eating experience. And 3, it is not part of a balanced breakfast. So number 1, trend food through history. So cereal has an amazing food history, and some of this information comes from a great New York Times article, but this is all out there on Kellogg's and Post and other cereal companies' websites. And I've got some notes here so I can reference my dates. But if you don't like kale, if you think salted caramel everything needs to go away, or you're just tired and dead with molten lava chocolate cakes, then you should also think cereal is crazy too, because cereal was one of the trendiest foods in all of American food history. Going back to the 1860s, one of the first cereals that was really introduced was granola. Not necessarily granola, and it was, you know, grain-based, oat-based, and might had a little bit of oil, or it could have been dry. Probably a take on European muesli as some of the immigrants came over. But zooming forward to 1906, Corn Flakes was introduced by Kellogg's. And Kellogg's was based in Battle Creek. They had an asylum. And at that time, an asylum was kind of like a spa, but they would get people coming from Chicago, they would keep people coming from Detroit to have a healthy weekend or a healthy retreat. And they sort of backdoored their way into this sort of mashed, grain, dry, puffed mixture and served it to their folks. And so people generally liked it. But what they did is they said it suppressed our urges. I don't know about you, but puffed rice and flake corn really suppresses my urges. But it became super popular in the Midwest and became something that was consumed a little bit more. But it was super trendy as a new health food. But fast forwarding a little bit, Quaker came out with puffed rice in 1910, then came Wheaties and Chex and Cherry Oats in the 1940s. And it was Cherry Oats before it was Cheerios. And then they started frosting and sugaring almost everything in the 1950s after the war. But then a really interesting part of the cereal history is that the government eventually subsidized both the dairy industry and the grain industry, which made a lot of sense because Americans were producing a lot of dairy, a lot of whole grains, so they wanted farmers to be able to be successful, so they subsidize it to produce more to go into this cereal product. So it was really kind of an in tandem thing of a product, government, and demand for this new thing to put in your bowl for breakfast. And then in the 1970s came marketing. So thinking about Count Chocula, Fruity Pebbles, Mr. T cereal in the 80s, Smurf cereal, Tony the Tiger, Snap Crackle Pop, all of these characters with a cute little jingle, really pretty box in order to sell this stuff to kids. And then another part of the cereal story that in the 1990s and in the 2000s became more about health. So different organic, natural, quinoa, Special K, Kashi Go Lean Crunch, all of these cereals hit the shelf in order to help us eat healthier at breakfast. And all of the while, through this history of cereal for over 100 years, it became the easy choice for breakfast. So yes, I get it. It is so easy just to put grains, puffed, frosted marshmallows, whatever, in a bowl and pour some wet milk over it and have a generally healthy breakfast. But that segues nicely to my next point. It's a really weird eating experience. All right, point 2, texture and eating experience. Okay, so this is how we eat cereal. We take a very dry grain or puffed thing and put it in a bowl. Then we put wet milk completely over it, and not just like adding gravy or adding ranch dressing to a salad. We literally drown it in wet milk, and then the countdown starts. We have about 4.5 minutes to eat this thing, or it turns into absolute garbage. And I know all of you out there who enjoy cereal know this, where if you don't eat it fast enough, depending on the cereal, it's gonna taste like absolute garbage. No one wants to touch it. We've all seen the cereal bowl in the sink that's been sitting there for a couple hours. It's terrible. It's gross. So you have about 4.5 minutes to eat this thing to actually enjoy it. To me, that's crazy. And why I think that's crazy is there's no other food that I can think of in the standard American diet that is crispy or crunchy that we completely drench in water or drench in milk. Yes, we have enchiladas that you put sauce over. Yes, we have nachos that you put cheese over and you have a few minutes to eat to make them extra good. But we don't have this thing where, like, say you make a pan of roasted potatoes. It's all crispy. It's all nice. We don't put 2 cups of broth over it and then eat it that way. It's just a really weird combination of things where it's like a really, really dry thing with a lot of a really, really wet thing, and you put it together, and again, you only have a couple minutes to eat it. And true, there are a lot of wet foods out there or saucy foods out there like mashed potatoes and gravy or putting dressing over a salad, but it doesn't completely change the makeup of the whole meal. It's more of a complement. But again, we're putting these 2 counteracting things together, and to me, that's just weird. One positive about cereal is cereal milk. Yeah, it's a pretty awesome thing that you can really only get by obviously soaking cereal and milk to get that very specific flavor. But also, shout out to Christina Tosi, an awesome chef out of New York that runs Milk Bar. She has done some amazing baked goods, but also using cereal milk into ice cream. Really, really awesome. And to my last point, cereal is not part of a balanced breakfast. Sure, there are some healthier cereals out there, but most are just full of crappy carbs and sugar, and they're really not that great for you. Plus, the addition of marshmallows doesn't make it the best option. You know, it doesn't have much protein. Sure, there's some dairy. Sure, there's some starch in there, but there's no micronutrients. There's no veggies. There's no fruit. There's no vitamins. You might be saying, oh yeah, but there are vitamins. Yeah, because they have to add vitamins and minerals back to it to make it somewhat nutritious. Here are some cereals on the market that I don't think are very good, and I'm really, really sorry if you like these, but how is it okay that we can have Cookie Crisp cereal, Eggo waffles, Twinkies, Oops All Berries, Rice Krispie Treat cereal, or I saw a cereal on the market the other day, Wendy's Frosty cereal. Why is it acceptable to have these bowls for breakfast where I can't have a piece of pie or I can't have a cookie for breakfast? It's all the same thing and none of them are really that great of an option. I'm gonna channel my inner Jim Gaffigan here and say it makes no sense. A muffin is just a cake with no frosting. Pie dough is exactly the same as Danish or croissant dough. So to me, I just don't get it. I'm like, why can't we? It's Cookie Crisp cereal. How is that okay to feed to our kids? Well, Corso, you've been griping at us about cereal for the last few minutes. So what are some good options or healthier options to have for breakfast that are still fast, tasty, and easy? Well, you know, eggs, meat, cheese and veggies is really, really fast, whether that's a scramble, an omelet, or a breakfast sandwich. There's a strong argument to be made that a piece of pizza is a better start to your day. And think about it. You've got starch, you've got dairy, you've got meat, and you've got veggies. It's not a bad way to go. You've got kind of everything you need right there. And this might be surprising to some of you, but a lot of the world starts their day with a noodle bowl. So whether that's a ramen bowl or a rice noodle bowl, it's brothy, it's a little bit of starch, it's a little bit of veggies, a little bit of meat, and it's actually a pretty nice warm way to start your day. So is there a cereal that I eat, or is there a cereal that I like? Not really. I hardly eat any cereal, but every once in a while I'll eat some Kashi Go Lean Crunch. And yes, I know it's like eating rocks, but it's kind of like granola, put it with some other stuff. It's all right. And like about every 2.5 years, I will get a craving for corn pops. I have no idea why. And, you know, I get like a half a bowl of corn pops and I eat it and then I'm good for another 2.5 years. But again, for me, cereal is not the way to go. It's super, super weird. It has just a super short window of eating it, and I just don't understand why we're putting so much wet milk over dry cereal. It's just not for me. All this being said is that you shouldn't stop eating cereal if you like it. You do you. But it's not necessarily for me. But I do want you to know that it has an amazing food history about how it came to be a prominent part of our table. But you know, it is kind of a weird food on how we eat it. And all of those carbs, all of those sugars, it might not be the best way to start your day. But get out there, enjoy a lake, eat some cereal, or don't. Boca, boca!